If you think the galaxy of Warhammer 40,000 couldn't get any worse, allow me to introduce you to the Inquisition, an organization so paranoid, so unhinged, and so obscenely powerful that even the Space Marines tread carefully around them. Imagine if the Spanish Inquisition had access to orbital nukes, brain-melting psychic powers, and the legal authority to blow up entire planets, and you're still not even close to how terrifying these lunatics are. Their job is to hunt down heresy, alien corruption, and demonic threats. Their methods are anything that leaves a high body count. Born from the Emperor's dying command and fueled by an endless supply of suspicion, the Inquisition doesn't answer to any government, church, or authority. They are the Imperium's last line of defense and its biggest liability, because when you give unregulated, power-hungry fanatics the ability to kill anyone they want with zero consequences, things tend to go horribly wrong. From planet-cracking exterminatus orders to the constant civil wars between their own factions, the Inquisition is less about protecting humanity and more about deciding who lives long enough to regret it. When the Emperor of Mankind was dragged onto the Golden Throne, barely clinging to existence, he left behind a galaxy in flames and a very clear message: trust no one. In the wake of the Horus Heresy, when half the Imperium's superhuman defenders decided galactic betrayal sounded fun, the survivors weren't in a forgiving mood. With their God Emperor reduced to a mangled half-corpse and chaos still breathing down their necks, the Imperium needed an organization to ensure nothing like that ever happened again. That was the Inquisition, a shadowy cabal of zealots empowered to root out heresy, corruption, and anything else that even smells suspicious. If the galaxy is a powder keg, the Inquisition's job is to shoot anyone holding a match, and sometimes they just blow up the whole room for good measure. The origins of the Inquisition are as murky as the warp itself. According to legend, and 40K loves a good, unverifiable legend, the Emperor personally ordered its creation before he was reduced to a glorified life support patient. His reasoning was that humanity couldn't be trusted to police itself, and given how the heresy started, because one guy felt underappreciated, he had a point. The first Inquisitors were handpicked to act as humanity's ultimate safeguard. These weren't your average bureaucrats. They were ruthless, brilliant, and completely unhinged, the kind of people who saw paranoia as both a survival tactic and a lifestyle choice. Their mission was simple. If it poses a threat to the Imperium, kill it. If it might pose a threat, kill it just to be safe. The Inquisition's authority was, and still is, absolute. No one, not even the High Lords of Terror, can deny an Inquisitor's will. If an Inquisitor decides an entire planet needs to die because one person sneezed wrong, congratulations, that world's getting glassed. This unchecked power wasn't a bug, it was a feature. The Imperium wanted enforcers who didn't hesitate, didn't ask permission, and definitely didn't give a damn about collateral damage. The result was an organization that takes the better safe than sorry approach to psychopathic extremes, where suspicion alone is grounds for extermination. Humanity survived the Horus Heresy, but at the cost of birthing an institution that makes the Nazi secret police look like charity workers. And in the grim darkness of the far future, that's considered a necessary evil. If the Inquisition as a whole is the galaxy's most unhinged watchdog, then its three main branches are just specialized breeds of madness. Each Ordo focuses on a different flavor of threat, because when you live in a galaxy overflowing with demons, aliens, and mutant freaks, you need a dedicated team to ruin each one's day. These aren't mere investigators. They're executioners with better titles, and their solution to every problem involves fire, bullets, or the delightful cocktail of both. They are the Ordo Malleus, Ordo Xenos, and Ordo Hereticus, humanity's last, best, and most batshit insane line of defense. First up is the Ordo Malleus, the Demon Hunters. Their entire job revolves around fighting the warp's worst nightmares, which means they've basically signed up for a lifetime of psychological trauma with a side order of reality-breaking horror. These guys don't just believe in monsters under the bed. They kick down the door and shoot them in the face. To deal with the literal manifestations of hell, they have the most overpowered toys in the Inquisition's arsenal: demon-slaying relics, psychic wards, and the Grey Knights. An entire chapter of gene-enhanced psychic murder marines who exist purely to ruin a demon's day. And because the warp is an ever-present threat, the Ordo Malleus is always busy. If something starts bleeding reality or vomiting plague demons, you can bet these lunatics are on the scene, probably considering whether to exterminate the entire planet just to be sure. Then there's the Ordo Xenos, the alien exterminators. While some parts of the Imperium occasionally tolerates aliens when there's profit involved, these guys live by a simple motto: if it's not human, kill it. Their hatred isn't just work, it's a lifestyle. Tyrannid hive fleets devouring entire sectors. Xenos. Eldar messing with the fabric of reality. Also Xenos. Some poor Tau diplomat trying to say hello? Definitely Xenos. Their approach to diplomacy is a bolt round to the face, and they're not big on nuance. When something extraterrestrial rears its ugly head, the Ordo Xenos sends the Death Watch, specialist space marines trained to hunt down and annihilate aliens in the most brutal, over-the-top fashion possible. No treaties, no compromises, just a galaxy-wide extermination campaign with paperwork to match. Ironically, both the Ordo Xenos and the Death Watch allow themselves to use xenotechnology if necessary. Yes, I know that's tech heresy, but apparently the Mechanicus doesn't care enough to raise an objection to it. Or maybe the red perverts just don't want to draw unnecessary attention from the Inquisition. And last, but by no means the least psychotic, there's the Ordo Hereticus, the witch hunters. These are the fanatics who keep the Imperium's own population in line, and by keep in line, I mean burn anyone who steps out of it. If you're a mutant, a psyker, or just unlucky enough to look suspicious on the wrong day, the Ordo Hereticus is your worst nightmare. They are the spiritual enforcers of the ecclesiarchy, and while their official job is to root out heresy, their unofficial hobby is turning people into crispy reminders of why you shouldn't ask too many questions. The Adepta Sororitas, those bolter-wielding nuns we all know, love and fear, work directly under the Ordo Hereticus, meaning they have an entire private army dedicated to purging heretics with righteous fury and high-caliber firepower. If the Ordo Malleus fights demons and the Ordo Xenos fights aliens, the Ordo Hereticus fights you. Together, these three branches form the paranoid, trigger-happy heart of the Inquisition. Their methods vary, slightly, but their philosophy is the same. If there's even a chance you're a threat to the Imperium, you're getting purged. And in a galaxy where danger lurks in every shadow, they're never short on work or bodies. If you ever wondered what happens when you give someone unlimited power, a bottomless supply of weapons, and an allergy to oversight, congratulations, you've just described an inquisitor. These people don't investigate problems so much as they obliterate them with extreme prejudice. The Inquisition's methods aren't just aggressive, they're apocalyptic. If a situation even smells like heresy, aliens, or demonic corruption, their solution is to wipe it off the map and maybe ask questions later, if anyone's left to answer them. And when it comes to solving problems, nothing says case closed, quite like exterminatus, the delightful practice of destroying an entire planet. Exterminatus is a frequently used last resort. When a world is deemed beyond saving, they unleash hell in a variety of creative ways. Virus bombs that liquefy everything organic, cyclonic torpedoes that crack a planet's crust like an egg, or, if they're feeling old school, just turning the atmosphere into pure fire. Billions of lives reduced to ash, because why bother fixing a problem when you can turn it into a smoking crater? And the best part? Inquisitors don't need permission. If they decide a world needs to die, it dies. No Senate hearings, no paperwork. Just one unhinged zealot pushing the big red button and a whole civilization goes poof. But why stop at planetary genocide when you can ruin minds, too? There's this charming practice of mind wiping, a favorite trick when you need witnesses to forget all that classified heresy they accidentally saw. Inquisitors have the power to erase memories, rewrite personalities, or just lobotomize you for fun. Even if you survive an encounter with the Inquisition, odds are your brain won't. They also love using interrogation servitors, which is a fancy way of saying, let's turn prisoners into cybernetic vegetables who do whatever we say. It's efficient, terrifying, and probably violates every ethical code in existence. But ethics are for people who don't have orbital bombardment on speed dial. And here's the real issue. Inquisitors answer to no one. Sure, there's a loose structure to the Inquisition, but in practice, they're free agents with the authority to overrule anyone, anywhere, anytime. Doesn't matter if you're a chapter master or a planetary governor. They can even legally tell the High Lords to get bent. This lack of oversight has consequences. Some Inquisitors go rogue and start their own personal empires. Others dive so deep into the things they're supposed to be fighting that they end up more heretical than the heretics. And when Inquisitors disagree with each other, they don't have meetings. They have inquisitorial wars, where both sides start purging each other with the same energy they're supposed to reserve for the enemies of mankind. So, to sum up, the Inquisition's methods are less measured investigation and more kill everything that looks suspicious. And if that doesn't work, nuke it from orbit. With no checks, no balances, and a galaxy's worth of paranoia driving them, they've become a law unto themselves. You'd think an organization dedicated to rooting out heresy would have a unified front. Nope. The Inquisition is a mess of clashing ideologies, personal vendettas, and the occasional friendly civil war. At the heart of this chaos are two opposing factions: Puritans, who believe heresy should be burned out with zero compromises, and radicals who think, hey, maybe we should use some of this forbidden stuff if it means winning. It's not just a philosophical disagreement, it's a blood feud. And when Inquisitors disagree, the galaxy bleeds. Puritans follow the classic inquisitorial motto, if it looks heretical, kill it. If it doesn't look heretical, kill it anyway, just to be safe. These are the true believers, the ones who think the Emperor's word is law, and anything remotely alien, psychic, or demonic needs to be purged with fire. Their methods aren't subtle, but they are consistent. No xenos bargains, no warp trickery, and definitely no room for moral compromise. For Puritans, even considering the use of forbidden power makes you a heretic in waiting. And since heretics don't get second chances, the punishment for stepping out of line is a one-way trip to the nearest execution chamber. Radicals, on the other hand, aren't afraid to get their hands dirty. Why burn a demon when you can bind it? Why destroy xenos artifacts when they could be useful? They'll use whatever weapons they can get. Sorcery, alien tech, even capture demons, if it means keeping humanity alive for another day. In their minds, the galaxy is too brutal for ideological purity. Survival comes first, and if they have to bend or outright snap the rules to do that, so be it. Of course, once you start using the powers of chaos, it's a slippery slope toward becoming the very thing you swore to destroy. But hey, you can't argue with results. This ideological divide isn't just theoretical, it gets violent. Inquisitors who think their colleagues have gone too far aren't afraid to settle matters with a bolter to the face. Entire inquisitorial wars have erupted over these disagreements, with Puritans and radicals forming shadowy cabals to purge each other in the name of protecting humanity. And since they all technically have the same authority, there's no higher power to stop them. The only thing more terrifying than an inquisitor hunting heretics is an inquisitor hunting other inquisitors. And if you think the system has any way of keeping these lunatics in check, think again. Some of the most notorious inquisitors in history broke every rule in the book and still walked away with their authority intact. Take Inquisitor Kryptman, the man who saved the galaxy from the Tyranids by committing genocide on an industrial scale. When the Tyranid hive fleets threatened humanity, Kryptman ordered the extermination of entire star systems, not because they were corrupted, but to create a dead zone to slow the alien advance. This guy burned billions of innocent lives and got a slap on the wrist. Or consider Inquisitor Quixos, a radical who thought using demon weapons and warp sorcery was a perfectly reasonable way to fight chaos, right up until his fellow Inquisitors realized he was basically becoming a Chaos Lord and put him down like a rabid dog. The most absurd part is that these fights never really end. For every radical pushing the limits, there's a Puritan ready to burn them at the stake. And when the galaxy's most powerful, least accountable fanatics decide to turn on each other, there's no courtroom, no appeals process, just a whole lot of collateral damage and a mountain of corpses. For all their pompous speeches about protecting humanity, the Inquisition is probably the most dangerous thing lurking inside the Imperium, and that's a galaxy that includes demon gods and planet-eating bugs. Why? Because they have unlimited power, zero oversight, and the collective emotional maturity of a coked-up Nepo baby. Their entire job revolves around rooting out threats, but when no one can tell you no, it's a short trip from defender of mankind to unhinged galactic menace. The Inquisition doesn't just burn the heretics, they burn anyone who might become one. And when you live in a galaxy where thinking too hard about aliens counts as heresy, that's a problem. And nobody can stop them. The High Lords of Terror may technically sit above them on the food chain, but good luck enforcing that when an Inquisitor can declare you a heretic and have your palace glassed from orbit. Inquisitors operate outside the Imperium's usual bureaucratic machinery, with the power to condemn planetary governors, space marines, and even other Inquisitors to death. There's no trial or due process, just the cold judgment of whichever lunatic happens to be holding the power. And because they work in secret, most of the Imperium has no clue how many potential apocalyptic disasters are caused by the people supposedly protecting them. The real nightmare scenario isn't some chaos invasion or xenos uprising. It's an Inquisitor deciding the Imperium itself is the problem. And that's not a hypothetical. There have been multiple instances where radical factions of the Inquisition tried to remake the Imperium in their own twisted image. Ever heard of the Herutian faction? They think resurrecting a new godlike emperor by using the powers of chaos is a smart move. Every time the Inquisition solves a problem, they leave a trail of ruined worlds and mass graves in their wake. And the scariest part is that they think they're the good guys. Each Inquisitor is absolutely convinced that their cause is righteous, and that any amount of destruction is justified if it means saving humanity. But when the people with ultimate power believe the ends always justify the means, the galaxy's greatest threat isn't demons, tyrannids, or necrons. It's the people holding the flamethrowers. And in the Inquisition, everyone's got a flamethrower. At the end of the day, the Inquisition isn't just a necessary evil, it's the most dangerous thing in the galaxy wearing a fancy hat. Sure, they keep demons from turning reality inside out and stop xenos from devouring entire star systems, but they're just as likely to kill 1 billion innocent people because someone sneezed wrong. Their unchecked power, internal blood feuds, and absolute authority make them a bigger threat to the Imperium than any external enemy. If the Imperium ever falls, it won't be because of the Tyranids or chaos. It'll be because some Inquisitor decided to push the big red button one too many times. So, the next time you think your job sucks, just be glad your boss can't declare exterminatus on your entire office. And if you enjoyed diving into the madness of the Inquisition, like, subscribe, and stick around, because in Warhammer 40k, the galaxy's supply of horrifying nonsense never runs dry.